He's coming.
Without the Black Panther, Wakanda will fall.
Vibranium, he's covered in it.
That can't be good.
Let's go!
Now is our time. To strike.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Marvel dropped a new Black Panther Wakanda Forever trailer, so we'll break it down. There's a whole bunch of new footage. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. We only have a little while before it comes out. Once we get a little bit closer, I'll also do a movie ticket giveaway. But the big thing in this trailer, just giving you way more footage with the characters, especially the new Black Panther, and they pretty much confirmed that it is Shuri. Like, you see the weapons on her hands, they're the exact same type of weapons that she used during the first Black Panther movie. When we started seeing those in the trailers for the first Black Panther movie, I just called her Shuri Panther Hands, because they're basically Panther Hands with advanced sonic technology. The big advantage that those gave her in her fight with Killmonger, even though she wasn't that great of a warrior at the time, like you have to remember that she's about the same age as Peter Parker in the MCU, so she's actually pretty young. Even though she could do a lot of things with those, they were specifically useful for fighting against Killmonger and the vibranium nanites that were used to form his Golden Jaguar Black Panther suit. That's also how Ulysses Klaue was able to fight Black Panther when he was coming after him, like it was a form of sonic technology that interrupted the signal between the vibranium nanites, which is why it seemed like their suits disintegrated when they were hit by the guns. Obviously, this being a sequel, being many years later, even if you think about the 5-year time jump being even more years, you have to remember Shuri just iterates with her technology the same way that Spider-Man, the same way that Iron Man, all the other tech-based characters in the MCU would normally do. So even though it's the technology from the first film, it's probably gotten way more advanced since the events of the first film. But this is basically what her full suit looks like, and now that you actually get like a full top-to-bottom view of her in broad daylight, you can see she's way more petite looking than say like T'Challa was, the figure that he cast when he was walking around in his suit. I've already talked about the golden highlights all over her suit, how they're kind of influenced a little bit by Killmonger's Golden Jaguar suit and how Killmonger figures into the film. Like, Killmonger is coming back, not the way that people think that he's coming back. I talked about that in my previous Black Panther video, like, oh yeah, he's definitely coming. But it's a bit more of like a Force Ghost twist on Killmonger with the Ancestral Plane. Because they're not going to do like a Carrie Fisher situation with the Rise of Skywalker. Like, they're not going to rejigger a bunch of like old footage to bring him back in the movie in present day. I believe he's supposed to have been dead for about a year when the events of the movie pick up in the present day. There might be some flashbacks during the film. Like, I think the idea is that we see Namor's birth. Obviously, that's a huge flashback. But the current events of the movie, I believe, are meant to pick up in relatively close to real time with the other Marvel movies that have come out so far. But because this is like the last movie in Marvel Phase 4, I think they also want it to be a little bit later in the timeline than, say, like Thor Love and Thunder, or maybe pretty close to the same time that Thor Love and Thunder is happening. Fun fact too, we saw Boss the Panther Goddess during Thor Love and Thunder. That's the god that Black Panther and all of his people worship. Now, like, not everybody in Wakanda, not all the tribes worship the Panther Goddess. Some of them, like the Jabari tribe, M'Baku's people, worship the ape god. But I don't know whether or not this movie is going to reference Boss. The way they used her during Thor Love and Thunder was more in a comedic way, and they didn't really give her any speaking lines. There might be some deleted scenes or some more extra scenes that were involving her. She was really just there for that Zeus Godhead scene where all the gods were just joking about all the fun that they were going to have, like all the crazy stuff that they were doing. But when it comes to Shuri taking the mantle of Black Panther, they did say the question of who the next Black Panther winds up being is a big part of the movie. And for a lot of the early part of the film, the whole idea is that they're arguing about who has the right to or who should take up the mantle of the Black Panther. Because like in the trailer, there's that footage where you have Namor talking to Ramonda saying that Wakanda has no Black Panther anymore, Wakanda has no protector, is vulnerable. Which I think he's so quick to invade Wakanda and flood it. I know there's a couple questions about that too, like why is there all this water in Wakanda? Where did it come from? Isn't it supposed to be landlocked? Clearly Ramonda is on the coast talking to Namor here on the beach, but I think the idea is that the water that they flood Wakanda with is coming one from rivers that run into Wakanda, but there's also like a giant lake near Wakanda as well, so it could be coming for that too. But because typically in big movies like this, there's like a big third act twist where like you have some big hero rally moment, I'm assuming the big third act twist will be Shuri debuting as the new Black Panther. So for about the first 2 halves of the film, there's still this big question about who's going to take the mantle. Also, there's all that footage in the trailer with Ramonda saying that her entire family is dead, which would mean that she probably thinks that Shuri is dead at some point. That might have something to do with Namor's invasion of Wakanda, like they might believe that something happened to Shuri during that. And because Shuri is becoming the next Black Panther, there's a lot of questions about how they're going to handle the actual powers of the Black Panther, because previously the heart-shaped herb was a really big part of that. It was basically like their version of the super soldier serum that they would give to each Black Panther. And I believe when the movie picks up, the naturally growing heart-shaped herb will still have been killed off by Killmonger, like they're still dealing with that plot point. And I think Shuri is trying to find a technological workaround for the lack of heart-shaped herb, like she's trying to find a way to recreate it with her technology. And part of the other characters thinking that she might be dead during the movie has something to do with that. Obviously she comes back though. I think all this footage of her fighting with the Black Panther suit on, or with her Black Panther suit on, is much later in the movie. We also get a bunch more footage of Riri Williams' Ironheart in her Mark II suit. This is the second version of her suit that she creates inside Shuri's lab with the advanced technology. Like the first suit she creates in the Cambridge area, like near MIT where she used to go to school, I think she gets kicked out during the events of the movie. But the first suit she dumpster dive, it looks a little bit more cobbled together. It looks a little bit like this in the promo art. It's a little bit clearer look at it. Once they take her to Wakanda and start protecting her there, she gets access to Shuri's technology in her lab. That's when she creates the more advanced Mark II version of the suit. And if it wasn't clear, zoom in and enhance, she's fighting Namor during these scenes. They also have a couple funny moments in the trailer with the characters reacting to Namor's vibranium, like, oh, he's got vibranium all over him, that's going to be a problem. And that on top of his mutant abilities, which probably give him some enhanced strength, obviously the ability to fly, or what make him so strong, such a big threat. Like you see him destroying all this stuff all over Wakanda and just thrashing all these people around. Like even M'Baku seems like he's having trouble with him. That's why M'Baku is also telling his people during their big war planning meeting here why Namor's people think of him as a living god. Mostly because of the mutant powers. I'm really interested to see how they weave in sort of the Namor comic book canon. The whole idea that in the comics they call him the first mutant because he's like the first comic book character to debut, but chronologically there might be actual older mutants that we just haven't learned about in the MCU before. Some of the mutants, some of the X-Men characters, like Wolverine for instance, Hugh Jackman's character, are coming in via multiverse like during Deadpool 3. But in the next couple of years, like as we build up to like our next big X-Men movie inside the MCU, we'll probably learn a little bit more about which characters are coming from the multiverse and which mutant characters have been here the whole time and we're just learning about now. If you're not a big Black Panther comics reader, one of the other big things that they've introduced in a lot of this trailer footage are the Midnight Angels. So this special blue armor that you see Okoye wearing, you also see Michaela Cole wearing. She's playing a version of Anika from the comics. They're called the Midnight Angels. They're like the special ops team within the Dora Milaje. So the whole idea is the Dora Milaje are like the special forces of Wakanda. They're already meant to be like their most hardcore warriors. They come from all the different tribes. They're like 6 main tribes of Wakanda. It'd be like trying to join the special forces in the military, like normal selection process, only the most badass warriors get to join. But within the Dora Milaje, they have an even more hardcore, smaller group called the Midnight Angels that use way more advanced technology. They go on more spec ops missions. And it seems like in the trailer, some of the Dora Milaje and the Midnight Angels are fighting each other, like Midnight Angels versus Dora Milaje. That might have something to do with what Ramonda is doing in this whole war that they're having with Namor's people. I think the idea is that there are a lot of different ideas within Wakanda amongst Ramonda, Shuri, the other people about what they should do about what's going on with Namor. Because it seems like Ramonda goes on the warpath and that kind of makes things worse. And I think long term the idea is that they don't want to kill Namor off. He's meant to be more of an anti-hero inside the MCU. The way they're playing him, he just wants to protect his people, even though he does seem kind of like an asshole. If you've ever read any Namor comics, you kind of know his relationship with Black Panther. He's like that in the comics too. Most of the time when people think about Black Panther versus Namor in the comics, they just think about the different fights that they have. It's sort of like Hulk and Wolverine. Like they have this ongoing series of rematch fights across the years, just this low-level beef between each other. Even though in the MCU T'Challa is dead, they're sort of carrying that forward. And they did say that what T'Challa did at the end of the first Black Panther movie, sort of revealing Wakanda itself, its existence to the rest of the world, the truth of Wakanda, will have something to do with Namor's beef with Wakanda. So even though you can't have Namor versus T'Challa, because that would be really cool, they're using a lot of that comic book vibe with the Namor story in the movie. But also them using the character so much in this movie is the reason why you didn't see a version of Namor on the Illuminati during the Doctor Strange 2 movie. The writer of Doctor Strange 2 said that was a big thing, like, oh, Namor was already booked doing something else. This was the something else. But because we only have a couple weeks before the movie comes out, we'll get a little bit more footage, so I'll keep doing bonus videos as we get closer. If you have any questions about the characters or what's going on with the movie or how it's going to influence the MCU, just write it in the comments below and I'll add to my future bonus videos. My Black Adam post-credit scene video will post later today, and then my full Black Adam breakdown and Easter eggs will post tomorrow. My House of the Dragon finale video will also post this weekend too. Everyone click here for my House of the Dragon episode 10 finale video, and everyone click here for my Black Adam post-credit scene video. I'll update the link as soon as I post that. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.